Versatile Mage. Chapter 286. Leaving the group. Either way, everyone agreed that they should find a safer place to rest. Song Chia had suffered a severe injury. Xiao Feng had fully recovered from his previous injury, so he could walk normally. However, it was difficult to tell how much time Song Chia needed to recover. That being said, it was a huge relief that she was still alive. Luckily Mu Ningzhu managed to freeze the wound in time to stop her from losing blood. Otherwise, Bai Tingting said. Song Chia, who had just regained consciousness, cast a thankful glance at Mu Ningzhu, who responded with a nod. What should we do now? Zhang Bingshao asked. Someone had already been severely injured, and several among the group had argued to retreat. The team no longer shared the same vision, so they were hesitant to proceed with the mission. No matter what, I won't leave now, Mu Ningzhu said. Mu Ningzhu did not want to force the others to follow her decision. Even though they had come from different schools, they had come here to train themselves. It served as a test of their capabilities, thus they had no excuse to bail out now. Mu Nujiao shared the same thought as Mu Ningzhu. She came from a renowned family. She clearly knew that if a magician survived such an ordeal with their life at stake, it would have a great impact on the future growth of their cultivation. Improving their strength was not something that could be done efficiently by only staying in the safe zones and meditating every day. The experience they acquired from battles was, in fact, the most important factor. She believed that if she were to leave now, it would be much more difficult for her to gather her courage to overcome the difficulties she would face in the future. Since Mu Ningzhu has decided to stay, there's no way I'm leaving either, Liao Mingxuan said. Mu Ningzhu and Mu Nujiao were both women. If they were so determined to stay and complete the quest, the men would feel ashamed if they decided to bail out now. However, Liao Mingxuan, Shen Mingshao, and Ming Kong continued to remain hostile toward Mo Fan. They were still accusing him of placing them in danger. Mo Fan, you better shut your mouth up from now on. I don't understand why the directors of the Pearl Institute let such a coward represent their school as an exchange student, Liao Mingxuan spoke roughly. Ming Kong nodded in agreement. If it weren't for my Death Strike magic equipment, it would have been impossible for us to leave in one piece. Mo Fan went up to them and stated grimly, if you're looking for a fight, bring it on. I'll take both of you at the same time. I'll make sure to turn you both into cripples, so you can use it as an excuse to bail out. In Mo Fan's eyes, it was not worth wasting his time on these two idiots. Don't chicken out if you're trying to pick a fight. Alright, that's enough. We shouldn't waste any further time. Let's head to the next location. Mu Nujiao rose from the ground and glared at Shen Mingshao and Luo Song, who were about to cause a stir. I prefer not to hang around with some dogs who only know how to bark. You guys continue on to the next location. I'll investigate another spot myself. What the eye doesn't see, the heart doesn't grieve over. It will save us some time too. Mo Fan suggested leaving the team and investigating on his own. Mu Nujiao immediately advised against it. Mo Fan, it's too risky. That's right, it's safer for us to stay together. It will be hard for us to provide any support if you somehow found yourself in danger, Zhang Bingshao said. Let him be. Humph, I would like to see if he's able to make it back alive, Liao Mingxuan spat. See, he said it himself, Luo Song said. Mo Fan wasted no time and insisted on leaving the group. Bai Tingting wanted to leave with Mo Fan, since she trusted him the most in the whole group. However, she needed to look after Song Chia. There was no way she would put Song Chia's life at stake just to leave with Mo Fan. Zhao Manting was planning to go with Mo Fan too, but the latter rejected the offer and asked him to stay with the team. Since you've decided to keep in contact with us, you will return to the team at once after you finish investigating the location. Mu Nujiao knew Mo Fan had already run out of patience with the other guys. There was no better option. Don't worry, I'll be back soon. I'm not too keen to leave you with a bunch of ungrateful scum either, Mo Fan said. It was reasonable for Shen Mingxiao and Luo Song to be hostile toward him. However, Liao Mingxuan was only picking on him because he was jealous of his relationship with the girls. He still has the mood for that even in a place where they could possibly lose their life in an instant. You can find scum anywhere in this world. Anyway, just be careful on your own. Mu Nujiao looked at Mo Fan. She understood that he had been crowded out by people of the group just because he had been standing out too much. She hesitated for a moment before taking out a crystal orb from her bag and handing it to Mo Fan. Take this. What is it? Mo Fan asked with a confused look. A crystal guardian orb. You can insert your energy into it once you're in danger, then break it into pieces. A defensive barrier similar to the water barrier will circulate around you. It should be able to protect you for quite a while, Mu Nujiao said. This thing, I suppose it isn't cheap, right? Mo Fan felt a surge of warmth as he saw the sincerely concerned look on Mu Nujiao's face. You better bring it back to me in one piece, Mu Nujiao said sternly. Mu Nujiao knew Mo Fan was a smart ass when it came to playing with words, and always had an indifferent attitude toward everything. However, after their life and death experience just a few moments ago, she knew that any mistake here could possibly lead to their deaths. Mu Nujiao did not want anything to happen to Mo Fan. The crystal guardian orb was a lucky charm that she wore all the time. Thank you, Zhao Jiao. If I didn't make it back, you don't need to wait for me. Find yourself a good man, Mo Fan teased. Mu Nujiao walked away before Mo Fan finished the sentence. She suddenly lost interest in speaking to him any further. What does he mean by finding himself another good man? Does he think she is a rolling stone? Wait a second, who would want to wait for him? Mo Fan left in satisfaction after teasing Mu Nujiao. He suddenly realized that he was quite well received by the women around him. After splitting up with the team, Mo Fan returned to the collapsed administration building. I wonder if a rather unique beast like the pseudomorphing demon beast would leave any soul essence after it died. Mo Fan murmured. Using the broken walls, Mo Fan nimbly climbed to the place where its brain was bitten off. He let out a sigh after searching through the debris. It was either the soul essence had disappeared due to taking too long, or the pseudomorphing demon beast actually did not drop any soul essence when it died. Mo Fan ended up empty-handed. Alright, little loach, stop shaking. Didn't I come back now? If I were to dig up the loot, wouldn't I have to share with the others? I don't mind sharing with Mu Nujiao, Zhao Manting, Bai Tingting, and Mu Ningzhu, but those disgusting guys, do you really want to share with them? Well, it's all ours now, Mo Fan exclaimed to the little loach pendant on his chest. Chapter end. Versatile Mage. Chapter 287. The Pseudomorphing Demon Beast Seed. For some reason, the little coach pendant was in high spirits when Mo Fan first arrived at the administration building. Mo Fan had only decided to stay outside after planning to look for the thing that had excited the little coach pendant. To his surprise, the terrifying series of events took place before he had the chance to search the place. Besides, a group of hunters was recently eliminated inside the administration building. Was it a coincidence that they had come to the administration building? If so, why were they here in the city in the first place? Was it because they had discovered something valuable? Did they really think Mo Fan would choose to leave the team because he was pissed off at those idiots? He was only planning to investigate what the place was hiding. However, all that remained were a pile of debris and wilted vines. He had no idea where the thing that the hunters were looking for would be. During this situation, the little coach pendant once again resolved a huge problem for Mo Fan. As it was vibrating vigorously, it was also emanating a unique glow. The strength of the glow served as an indication of the distance between Mo Fan and the object. Inside the dark collapsed hall, Mo Fan weaved through the wreckage on his own. Since he had the shadow element, he was not worried about the ceiling collapsing on him. As he proceeded to the hall on his left, he saw a long passage stacked up with barren rocks. The entire path was almost blocked off, and the top was sealed off by the dead vines. If it weren't for fleeing shadow, it would be impossible for Mo Fan to make his way through. Suddenly, a supporting beam that was on the verge of shattering collapsed and fell right onto Mo Fan. He let out a curse and swiftly dodged the incoming disaster with a tumble. He did manage to dodge the beam, but it did not feel great when the dust blew onto his face. The glow from the little loach pendant had grown even stronger, which implied that he was getting closer to the treasure. Mo Fan continued to take a few steps forward and realized that the glow had actually grown weaker. He took a few steps backward, and saw the glow becoming stronger, before falling again. Ah, this is it. Is it below me? Mo Fan lowered his head and discovered that down was the correct way. Swift Star Wolf. Mo Fan opened a moonlit path and summoned the beast to him. The gallant and high-spirited Swift Star Wolf arrived from the other dimension. He let out a bright howl while unleashing his warrior-level aura toward the surroundings, totally displaying his pride as a king of wolves. However, when the Swift Star Wolf finally thought he was called here for an epic battle, his heartless master said, "Dig up this place." The Swift Star Wolf was totally left speechless. A warrior-level summoned beast was being ordered to be a digger. What a total waste of his talents. But the Swift Star Wolf's claws were incredibly sharp, and so were very efficient when it came to digging. The cement ground was shattered with a few gouges, and in just a few minutes, a huge pit appeared in front of Mo Fan. "Keep it up." Mo Fan jumped into the pit and discovered the glow from the little loach pendant became brighter. A while later, the roots of the pseudomorphing demon beast began to surface. It was hard to tell how much area the roots actually covered underground. Luckily, the dead roots were no match for the Swift Star Wolf's claws. It continued to rip through the roots. Strange, it looks like the roots are wrapped around something. Mo Fan realized something was out of place. The Swift Star Wolf seemed to be aware of it, too. It quickened its digging speed, and the soil was hurled everywhere. After the roots were dug up, a wide space was discovered, which was empty apart from a floating green light. It was difficult to tell what it actually was. The Swift Star Wolf was rather impatient. He scooped out with his claw and retrieved the little glowing light from the space, which he presented to Mo Fan. The wolf was waiting for him to acknowledge his hard work. Mo Fan grabbed it and stared at it in confusion. Its appearance was similar to a glowing pea. Mo Fan inspected it while murmuring, "What the heck is this? A glowing green pea? No, this isn't right. Why would the roots be hiding a pea?" Suddenly, a flash flickered in his mind as his expression rose with joy. A seed. Ah, it must be a seed. But what kind of seed is it? Oh my, it must be the seed of the pseudomorphing demon beast. The pseudomorphing demon beast's strength is utterly terrifying when it matures. This seed must be similar to a beast's youngling, which means it can be fostered by a summoner. Mo Fan's spirits instantly rose. He had witnessed the capabilities of a pseudomorphing demon beast with his own eyes. It was almost unbeatable among warrior-level demon beasts. Therefore, he expected the seed to possess incredible value. "I'll take it back. I'm sure that I can sell it off at an insane price." Mo Fan slowly stored the seed of the pseudomorphing demon beast away. Although Mo Fan was a summoner himself, and he had yet to decide on a contracted beast after he reached the intermediate level, the pseudomorphing demon beast could be considered an option once it gained its self-awareness. However, the pseudomorphing demon beast was quite special. Mo Fan was not too much of a fan for things that took root. The best way was to sell it, then use the money to bid for some suitable younglings at the auctions. Mo Fan felt incredibly pleasant after finding such valuable loot for the summoning element. Mo Fan had almost gone bankrupt after spending all his savings on the evolving materials for the summoning element. He also still had a shadow element soul seed on his to-buy list, and its price was even higher than a lightning element soul seed. Mo Fan was clueless of where he would get the money from, but he had now found this seed. Apart from the soul seed, the contracted beast would also require a huge investment. There were not many beasts younglings being sold on the market. A servant-class youngling would cost between 1 million to 2 million RMB. The warrior-level younglings were even crazier, with a starting price of at least 20 million RMB. Regardless of their lineage, they were basically sold instantly most of the time. The pseudomorphing demon beast would have a rather high lineage among the warrior-level demon beasts, but it was hard to tell if a plant-type demon beast would be valuable to the summoners. At least, Mo Fan was not too fond of it himself. I should go back to the investigation point to pretend I'm working, just so they won't find it out. Mo Fan was perfectly content with the discovery. He jumped onto the Swift Star Wolf's back and headed straight to his destination. The Swift Star Wolf's speed was outstanding. The streets were overgrown with weeds and crowded with abandoned vehicles. The Swift Star Wolf was able to run easily along the roofs of the vehicles. Dilapidated buildings on both sides were quickly left behind, and the wind from the running inflicted a slight pain on Mo Fan's ears. At such a rate, he would arrive at the inspection point in no time. It was impossible for them to just sit at a spot and count the number of demon beasts nearby. The inspection involved placing a beacon that released a unique sonar wave at the specified location, and protecting it for 3 hours. The beacon would be able to collect the data needed regarding the disposition of the demon beasts. On a side note, the sonar wave being emitted from the beacon was not perfectly stable. As such, certain types of demon beasts would be able to sense it. There was no guarantee that the beacon would still remain intact after 3 hours if it was left unguarded. Chapter End. Versatile Mage. Chapter 288. Go Big or Go Home. Drizzles were common in this season. Tiny raindrops fell from the mountain shrouded in a thick mist. The terrain was wet and muddy, and even the rivers flowed with a stronger current. The sound of the waves could be heard from a great distance away. The gray sky was boundless, with no visible end to the mountain range. Curtains of rain hung between the sky and the ground. In the midst of the cold rain, snowy white wings appeared out of nowhere, maintaining a certain distance from the ground as they glided through the sky. The wings belonged to the heavenly eagles, the trademark tamed beasts of the Chinese military. They were mostly used as mounts and were rarely involved in battles. The heavenly eagles were one of the rare kinds of beasts that could be tamed using the psychic element. During many battles between humanity and the demon beasts, humans had discovered this rare species. They were willing to be affiliated with humans but unwilling to fight for them. More snowy white figures appeared, moving in an orderly fashion, with a hint of aura that could only be seen on battlemages. A man with an army coat draping over his shoulders on one of the heavenly eagles said, "Remember, from now on, you're no longer carrying the identity of a soldier. Everything you do is no longer tied to the North China military." The man had 2 small tufts of mustache and an ancient tobacco pipe in his hand. He would take a smoke every time he finished a sentence, just like normal breathing. Not many people actually smoked with a pipe in this era, but it was a habit Lu Nian had gotten used to. His back had once been torn apart by a commander-level beast, leaving a giant wound which still caused dull pain. He had visited many experienced healers, but none were useful. In the end, he relied on a special type of tobacco to slightly numb himself. "Commander Lu, we are 300 kilometers away from Jinlan City. There's a group of blood puncture vultures living close to Jinlan City. Should we engage?" the advising officer, a female battle mage, asked. Her eyebrows were almost joined in a straight line, giving her a stern appearance. "There's no need for that. We will travel on foot once we are close to their territory," Lu Nian said. "Acknowledged. Remember, only success is allowed for this mission." Affirmative. In a rather unique bamboo pavilion to the south of the Imperial College, Song He, a fan of chrysanthemum tea, was sitting on a futon enjoying the pleasant scent from the teapot in front of him. Suddenly, the door was pushed open with great force. The bamboo door swayed wildly, as if it were about to collapse. "Who's there? Where's the manners?" Dean Song He frowned. "It's me, old man. Zan Kong." Song He raised his eyelids and stared at the not-so-young anymore man in surprise. Song He took a closer look and saw 5 fresh scars around the man's neck and chest. Only parts of the scars were visible above his collar, making it difficult to tell how far they extended. Your wounds, if they were an inch higher on your neck, you might be dead now. Dean Song He said with slight distress. I'm alive, that's all that matters. Unfortunately, they did ruin my perfect body. Zan Kong tried to smile. They must be from the Darkwing Wolf. Their claws are very sharp and have the ability to corrupt their target's blood. You will need a long time to fully recover, Dean Song He told him. I'll slay the Darkwing Wolf with my bare hands one day, but I'm here for another matter. Zan Kong's expression turned stern. What is it? Don't tell me the South military is interested in the kid with double innate elements. Song He guessed. What do you mean? If we're interested. He's my sworn little brother. I was looking after him back in Bo City. I was worried when he exposed his double innate elements a while ago. Don't worry. Old Xiao and Chu Yuhua were against it. Lu Nian did pay me a visit privately, Dean Song He informed him. That's exactly why I'm here. I've received news from an old friend in the North military. A bunch of soldiers who were reporting to Lu Nian were discharged suddenly. Even Lu Nian himself seemed to intend to quit his position, Zan Kong said. It's true that Commander Lu has been acting strangely lately. Perhaps he's trying to find another path, as he could not rise higher in the military. Dean Song He suggested. Hey, have you lost your edge because of age? Lu Nian is doing this so he can do something crazy without restriction. Zan Kong said. Dean Song He paused, recalling something as he gathered his thoughts. Are you really suggesting he'll go that far? Dean Song He inquired. And you're telling me it's impossible? Hurry up and tell me where the kid is. Zan Kong shot back. He's with the training group. Dean Song He replied. Does Lu Nian know about it? He does, the Dean answered helplessly. Zan Kong was speechless. He blurted out, is your brain rusted? Lu Nian's subordinates are maniacs who would do anything to achieve the goals. Why wouldn't you think he would do something crazy, even if it costs him everything? They were all expelled, so if they commit a serious offense, it won't necessarily shame the Black Tortoise Regiment. I never thought they would go that far. Quick, we can't waste any more time. We have to head to Jinlan City at once. We can't let him do such a terrifying thing, Dean Song He exclaimed. Save some breath, old man, I'll go myself, Zan Kong said. Yao Nan, the hunter in charge of that incident, is here in the capital, too. I'll ask him to go with you. He has wing magical equipment and can travel quickly, Dean Song He said. It's decided. Inside Jinlan City, near a bunch of Boston ivies, Mo Fan had changed into a black outfit and was sitting atop a standalone pillar. He was enjoying some jerky while watching the fight between his Swift Star Wolf and a 3-eyed magic wolf. It was rare to bump into a familiar species in the abandoned city, especially one that could sense the resonance of the sonar wave. The 3-eyed magic wolf was enormous, taller than the roofs of most buildings in the street. Mo Fan remembered the first time he had encountered such a beast with his classmates. He hadn't dared to breathe, just to avoid detection. His mindset was completely different now. He could let his Swift Star Wolf handle it instead of attacking himself. Despite being different species, the Swift Star Wolf saw the 3-eyed magic wolf as unworthy. It sprang forward and attacked with its fangs, teaching its opponent what a real wolf should be like. Looking at the wounds covering the gigantic beast, Mo Fan couldn't help but grin. The fact he could now easily handle a beast he once had to flee from was something to be proud of. Chapter N. Versatile Mage. Chapter 289. Slaughtering the Demon Wolves. Hour. In the midst of the intense battle, the huge 3-eyed magic wolf suddenly raised its head and let out a howl to the sky. The sound echoed into the distance. Clearly, it was not trying to execute a special move. A while later, a great disturbance could be felt in the distance. Since Mo Fan was sitting high up, he could see countless figures appearing from the buildings and corners, moving into the open. They were moving toward the source of the three-eyed magic wolf's howl like a black tide. Summoning the crew when it can't win. I thought this was meant to be a duel. Mo Fan did not agree with the three-eyed magic wolf's decision. Putting his disdain aside, a pack of one-eyed magic wolves charged toward them from all directions. One-eyed magic wolves focused heavily on their physical strength. The sight of them running had quite an outstanding visual impact. It felt like the entire area was shaking. The number of one-eyed magic wolves continued to increase. Mo Fan estimated there were at least 50 of them. Back in Bo City, such a pack of one-eyed magic wolves was enough to wipe out a huge group of magicians instantly. Mo Fan was left with no choice. The device had been installed into the ground for over 2 hours, so his job was almost done. He had promised to investigate on his own. If he returned empty-handed, he would have to suffer being mocked by Shen Mingxiao, Luo Song, Liao Mingxuan, and the others again. Preserving his face was only part of the reason. Most importantly, Mo Fan had the urge to start a massacre now. These creatures, he had once had no choice but to run for his life when facing them. Now, he wanted payback by butchering them. Otherwise, what was the point of him learning magic? Swift Star Wolf, you focus on that one. I'll handle the rest, Mo Fan told him. The Swift Star Wolf cleared his throat. He seemed to have something to say. Shouldn't Mo Fan be the one fighting against the boss while he handled its subordinates? Mo Fan jumped to the roof of the next building, which was overgrown with Boston ivy. Half of the building had already collapsed, and a variety of plants had grown their way into it. 1, 2, 3, 7. Very well. I'll let you keep one another in company in death. Mo Fan wore a confident grin as he pictured the star pattern. A few seconds later, he began to emit a strong fiery aura. He continued to release heat to his surroundings under his control, gathering it on his right fist. The energy condensed, his fist turning blazing red. A moment later, Mo Fan suddenly threw a punch, aiming at the street from the high ground. The target spot was a corner on the street. 7 one-eyed magic wolves were running toward the source of the howl excitedly. They thought their leader had found some delicacies for them. However, as they turned the corner, their vision was filled with a blazing curtain, as if a burning meteorite had just crashed in front of them. The 2 one-eyed magic wolves leading the way were dumbfounded. They instinctively tried to turn around and flee but instantly collided with the one-eyed magic wolves behind them. The fiery fist landed, and the 7 one-eyed magic wolves were thoroughly devoured by the rose flame. Those turned instantly into piles of black ash died a quick death, but those half burned from the flame and suffering the impact from the fiery fist experienced the most pain. Even as they exhaled their last breath, they could not understand why their boss had summoned them here just to die. The one-eyed magic wolves here and the one-eyed magic wolves in the south by Bo City did not belong to the same horde. Unfortunately, someone here bore a huge grudge against their species. Mo Fan had just eliminated 7 one-eyed magic wolves with a single attack. The feeling of being able to crush his opponent's lives easily made him hot-blooded. Those who had not experienced being hunted by the one-eyed magic wolves would never understand how excited Mo Fan was. Either way, he would kill every single one of them that he stumbled into today. 2 one-eyed magic wolves that were hiding in the shadows dashed out from the debris when they saw Mo Fan focusing on killing their comrades. They opened their mouths wide, aiming to tear Mo Fan apart with brute force. They coordinated their attacks from both sides, leaving Mo Fan with no escape. Too slow, are you seriously trying to ambush me with that speed? Mo Fan sneered. With his current strength, it was too easy for him to detect the presence of a few servant-class beasts. He had collected from fighting against stronger beasts had gotten him used to their attack patterns. Even the Mother Scale Skin Phantom and the Cursed Beast, infamous for their speed, were unable to threaten Mo Fan's life. How could these one-eyed magic wolves possibly do it? In Mo Fan's eyes, they were incredibly clumsy with their attacks. As the jaws approached him, his body dissolved into a puff of black shadow, which rapidly sank into the portal between the layers of light and darkness. In the following second, Mo Fan reappeared on the roof of a different building. He looked at the one-eyed magic wolves exchanging attacks while flipping his hand, which already had a blazing red flame burning on it. "Enjoy your time together in the fire." Mo Fan threw the sparkling flame forward. The flame drew a dazzling arc in the sky before landing at the collapsed building. Keeping a clear count in mind, Mo Fan clenched his fist as if he were pushing the trigger for a time bomb, and the fire burst in the building exploded. The buildings in this area were already on the verge of collapsing. The impact from the explosion was more than enough to topple it, burying the two one-eyed magic wolves together in the rubble. Mo Fan quickly added the final touch with burning bones. The two one-eyed magic wolves were already having a hard time trying to get out from under the debris, and the flames of the burning bones placed them in torturing pain. They kept on crying out in agony. They were going to burn to their deaths. Mo Fan was extremely skilled with the basic level spells now. He could utilize the different effects of the spells to maximize his damage output. Killing them all should be enough for another soul essence, right? Mo Fan glanced ahead. The number of the one-eyed magic wolves was quite astonishing. Mo Fan had collected quite a number of soul remnants throughout this adventure. He had improved 5 stars of his lightning element after setting foot in this ravaged city. He currently had over 20 soul remnants in his collection. The group did kill quite a number of servant class and warrior level beasts along their way here, after all. An advanced level one-eyed magic wolf. Niece, I'll start with you first. An advanced level one-eyed magic wolf was not easy to deal with, and it posed a greater threat to Mo Fan's safety. As such, Mo Fan was not too conservative with his energy when fighting against one. Purple-black electric arcs wrapped around his body, flickering sharply. Chapter End. Versatile Mage. Chapter 290. Completing the collection. An advanced level one-eyed magic wolf was significantly faster and quicker to respond. Mo Fan knew that the cunning beast would dodge his fire spells with ease. Therefore, he straight away went with a much simpler yet violent approach, using the thunderbolt that even an advanced level one-eyed magic wolf could not outrun. The purple-golden lightning struck down, triggering sparks in the air. On top of that, the effects of Chanjin made it look even scarier. A single lightning bolt was enough to leave the advanced level one-eyed magic wolf with no chance to react. Its powerful body was shattered into a blood spray by the overwhelming power of the thunderbolt. A rain of blood fell from above, sprinkling the nearby one-eyed magic wolves. Those who were rather timid completely lost their will to fight. The big guy was considered the strongest among them, and yet he was defeated by the human with a single spell. How powerful was this human? Lightning strike. The merciless attacks highlighted Mo Fan's hatred of the one-eyed magic wolves. Before the remaining wolves could recover from their shock, he lashed out with several forks of lightning strike to paralyze them. When they lost their ability to move, Mo Fan swiftly followed up with 3 fire bursts. There was no single flashy skill in his attacks. He was blatantly killing them with the overwhelming power of fire and lightning. Something is glowing there. It's a soul essence. Ha ha ha. I'm in luck. I've found another soul essence. Mo Fan was overjoyed. He had killed quite a number of servant-class demon beasts throughout this adventure, but he had yet to find any soul essences. He finally understood why the Stardust magic tool was so rare and expensive. Only someone with 4 elements like Mo Fan could afford to face so many beasts at once. The rest of the intermediate magicians who had not mastered the basics had no choice but to flee if fighting more than 10 beasts at once. That was another soul essence in the collection, which meant he could now refine his 6th star. In addition, after collecting the soul remnants of the one-eyed magic wolves still being slaughtered, they were most likely enough to form half a soul essence. The swift star wolf let out a roar and took a few hits to tear at the 3-eyed magic wolf's throat. Following the bite, fresh blood splattered across the place like a spring. It was extremely striking. The 3-eyed magic wolf held its throat with its claw. It realized that it stood no chance against the incredibly nimble Swift Star Wolf and finally decided to flee for its life. It hurled a worn-out car nearby toward the Swift Star Wolf and ran into the distance. Trying to run, Mo Fan was long aware of its intentions. A shadow pattern appeared under his feet. A shadow spike appeared before his chest. With a thought, it quickly vanished into thin air. From the reflection of a puddle ahead, the shadow of something like a rapier swept past silently. As the three-eyed magic wolf fled into the nearby woods, its movement came to a sudden stop, as if something enormous had grabbed it from behind. The three-eyed magic wolf stomped the ground, which collapsed and sank beneath it, but its body was still held firmly in place in a weird manner. Finish it off quickly. Its strength is rather high, Mo Fan said to the Swift Star Wolf. The shadow spike nailed to the shadow of the three-eyed magic wolf loosened up due to its strength. Mo Fan had no idea how long the spike would hold. The Swift Star Wolf sprang forward instantly. Unlike the three-eyed magic wolf, which left huge marks on the ground with each step, the Swift Star Wolf left no trail behind. It was indeed light as a feather, and fast as the wind. The Swift Star Wolf's fur fluttered in the wind. He gathered his strength as he ran forward. He was still 20 meters away from the three-eyed magic wolf when he leapt into the air, his sharp claws emitting icy flickers. He drove forward like the thrust of a sword. His claw left a flickering trail behind as it tore through the three-eyed magic wolf's injured throat. The three-eyed magic wolf tried to raise its thick forelegs to shield itself, but the slash cut through them as well. The two severed arms flew through the air as fresh blood spiraled from the wounds. The momentum of the slash was not halted by its legs. It continued to slash through the same wound on the three-eyed magic wolf's throat, turning it from a hole into a clean cut, severing the flesh and bone beneath. Its head slowly fell from the cut and dropped heavily to the ground, its body still held in place by Mo Fan's shadow spike. The stiffened headless giant wolf stood there, totally losing its previous imperious appearance. A few seconds later, fresh blood jetted out from the cut like a fountain. As the effect of the shadow spike slowly wore off, the three-eyed magic wolf collapsed onto the ground like a small building. The Swift Star Wolf, a clean freak, stayed far from the corpse. He waited until the blood finished spraying before approaching. He ripped open its chest and dug up its heart. He swallowed his prize in one go. The inner organs of the same species were incredibly useful for the Swift Star Wolf. As a beast that had grown up obeying the law of the jungle, being merciful was never the key to survival. Following the three-eyed magic wolf's death, the remaining one-eyed magic wolves lost their will to fight Mo Fan and his Swift Star Wolf. They immediately fled in all directions. You go and clean 'em up. I'll see if the three-eyed magic wolf has anything valuable left, Mo Fan said to the Swift Star Wolf. The Swift Star Wolf rolled his eyes like a human. I've dealt with their boss, and now that the battle has ended, why do I have to clean up still? Are you kidding me? You've already eaten the most valuable heart. Go on, Mo Fan prodded. He would surely be able to salvage some valuable loot from the corpse of a warrior-level demon beast. If lucky, mutated bones, claws, or skin useful for crafting equipment could be sold for a fortune. Unfortunately, the three-eyed magic wolf did not drop such rare loot, but he did find a mutated bone from one of the dead one-eyed magic wolves. He should be able to sell it for 200,000 RMB. The soul remnants still aren't enough. I've already strengthened the 6th star. My lightning strike is about to rank up. Forget it. I should head to the next inspection point. I should be able to collect enough soul remnants there. Mo Fan returned to the device and saw it beeping green, indicating that it had finished collecting data regarding the numbers of beasts within 3 kilometers. The next step would be bringing it back to the professionals for analysis. The next inspection point was not too far away. Mo Fan followed the map and hurried over. I'm so close to collecting the 7 balls to summon the dragon. Strengthening my lightning strike. I won't feel at ease if I don't complete it. He had managed to complete the task that others would need a group to accomplish. That's the freedom he gained from having a formidable level of strength. Chapter end. Please guys like, comment, share, and subscribe.